don't know what you guys know about guitars, but there are certain chords that were just made for the blues. Kind of like the C7, G7 that I've been playing in that strumming pattern, where it's kind of do 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 do. And what it makes me think of is kind of a sad story, right? So anything like the blues has got you down or anything like that. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today. Depression is a psychological problem. There's a lot of people that deal with that nationwide, but what's interesting to me is that I think that Wyoming especially deals with this, and it's in the data. My wife, she works at Natrona County Public Health, and she's helping putting a health assessment together, and she actually pulled the numbers for suicides in Natrona County versus Wyoming versus the United States. And what's really interesting about that data is that we're 3 times more likely to 3 times greater suicide rate than the rest of the country, which is just mind-boggling. But I mean, it's part of being here in Wyoming. I know that Washington and Alaska, they both have the same rates there. And if you wanted to look up that data, you could go on to the U.S. Department of Health Services and pull that data for yourself. The assessment's still in progress, so I can't really cite that right in the moment. But really honestly, the big thing here is that there are a lot of people suffering from it, and there's things that they could do to avoid these depression symptoms. So there's conduits that people can use to avoid some of these. And I think that music and physical activity are 2 of many that you could use to curb the symptoms of depression or anxiety or any of those kind of things, basically the blues. So that brings me to my first point, music. With the guitar here, I know that I tried to teach myself guitar about 2 years ago, and that's all the further I got, what you saw there. So I didn't really change the chords very well or anything like that, but it's there. And I knew about it, so there is that. But I think that playing music and creating music, it can be a great outlet to expand your mind and start looking at this. My wife always says that her piano skills actually have helped her with math throughout the years and those kind of things like that, because you count, you have measures, and when you're exercising your mind like that, those depression symptoms really can't seep in. But also listening to music is really interesting as far as how it affects you with depression. And I would like to share with you a study that was done by the Cleveland Clinic Department of Nursing and Research and Innovation. They published a study that actually went to an extreme case of depression where people who had malignant pain or chronic pain, and it was really affecting their mental health, and they gave them music therapy. And basically it was having them listen to music. And the control group actually did a lot worse with their depression than the other group. So what that says to me is that anybody who is suffering from depression can really gain benefits from just even listening to the right music. And I think that's a personal thing as far as the music goes. Some people like Enya kind of music where it's nice and soft, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes you can use music to vent with, and the biggest takeaway here is that even if people with disabilities can help themselves with this, you can too. Which brings me to my next point with physical activity. Because people with disabilities really can't exercise that avenue of physical activity, I would think that music would be kind of number one. It's a little bit more accessible as far as, where people would really suffer with mental health issues or just anxiety in general. So I think physical activity is really good if you're in good condition. That doesn't mean you have to be in shape right now, And in fact, it's probably more beneficial if you're not in shape right now and you're going to go ahead and go exercise and try to use this. There was a study of effects on aerobic exercise and depression published in the British Medical Journal in 1985 that explains how the relationship to oxygen intake can reverse the effects of depression. Which is really good news, because in 1985 we actually knew that you could reverse effects of depression. They thought it was oxygen intake, and I think we know a little bit better now that it's more of different chemical reactions happening in your body that let you go through and recover from depression. Also, the other thing that I really kind of touched on a little bit more is that not only is it going to change your chemical structure, but it will actually make you more confident in your physical appearance. So even if you don't really look that much different, you're going to feel different because you're working on it. You're working toward a goal. But losing those extra pounds probably isn't going to hurt either. So that's another way that people can stay away from depression is to lose weight with exercise or diet. And so I think that the biggest thing that I've kind of covered here is to have you pursue things even if you don't think that there's a chance that you can recover from depression. You have the power to be able to do that. Whether that's going to listen to music or going for a run, I hope you get through your tough times. And I know everyone doesn't work the same. And that's the interesting thing about this. And you need to find your avenue of which way you actually can go through the blues and not not suffer from depression anymore. So I will leave you with those thoughts. Thank you very much.